What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another video at Axe Entertainment. I am your host, Zack Axe, your homie with an extra chromie, and I knew I couldn't get through that one. Bringing you another edition of WWE Weekly Awards. This one is for July 21st through July 25th. Now, this was a week that was overall incredibly boring. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, we're slap in the middle of SummerSlam's coming up. We just got done with Evolution and all that good stuff, and we're like slap in the middle. And I said it's fun when you can still build while also having a little bit of fun with it, and it felt like this was just a really boring week. Somehow Smackdown being 2 hours, even though NXT is also 2 hours, Smackdown feels incredibly shorter than NXT. It seems like NXT has so much more time to build stuff in 2 hours than Smackdown does. But let's just go ahead and get into the weekly awards. We're going to go ahead and start with match of the week. Now, this was a week where really there wasn't a lot of phenomenal in-ring wrestling. Match of the week was actually pretty hard to give out this week. I am going to give honorable mention to the NXT Triple Threat. We'll talk about that later. Triple Threat Tag Team match on Monday Night Raw. That match was actually very good, and Sheamus versus Rusev was very good. I just think that Sheamus shouldn't have won this, but if we're going to continue this feud, maybe, but I don't know if we're going to continue it or not. But I am going to give it at the end of the day to a match that actually didn't have a decisive winner, and I'm going to give it to Io Sky versus La Primera, Stephanie Valquer. And these two had a phenomenal match back, what was that, 3 months ago at this point. They had a phenomenal match on Monday Night Raw when Stephanie was NXT champion and Io was Women's World Champion. And I think this match was just as good as that one. This match was still incredibly good for a random episode of TV. And I think at the end of the day, we did the right thing, ending it how we ended it with, of course, the DQ win, I guess, loss, like no contest. Of course, the match really just could not end with one of the women being pinned, because you have one who is going into a match at SummerSlam for the Women's World Championship, and we have one that is getting a match for the Women's World Championship at the end of next month. So both these two of the next three in line for the Women's World Championship, it wouldn't have been right really to have one of them win cleanly or even with shenanigans. I just don't think either of these women should have ate the loss. So I think it was all right. I think it was very predictable that it was going to end in DQ. So did it hurt it? Maybe, but I think it was the right decision. Especially, it's kind of funny because their last match ended in DQ too. So when we finally get this match, maybe at Clash in Paris, hopefully we finally get a decisive win for one of these women. But I think before all the DQ shenanigans at the end, this match was very good, and it's going to win match of the week. My first topic is a little bit of a downer. I'm just going to go ahead and start with the obvious. We did lose on, I believe, Thursday night, a legend of the wrestling business in Hulk Hogan. Now, I know there's going to be, either or sides of this, because there's some people that absolutely hate Hulk Hogan, or some people that absolutely love Hulk Hogan, and now even his death is starting a war between wrestling fans, which I think is stupid. At the end of the day, I think people that love him should be able to, cherish his career, while people that hate him should be able to, still honor the fact that he's one of the best wrestlers of all time. Maybe not best, but biggest wrestlers of all time. And me personally, I was never the biggest fan of Hulk Hogan. Obviously, I didn't grow up watching Hulk Hogan. I've gone back and watched his stuff, and his backstage politicking is really what I never really liked about Hogan. And then, of course, you have some real life stuff with Hogan that is looked down upon by a lot of people. But either or, whichever side you stand on, I think we should all take a moment to honor the life and legacy of a man that made wrestling what it is today, Hulk Hogan. So rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. After that, we're just going to go ahead and run really quickly through this one. This is going to be female MVP. Now, this was a week of wrestling where females really, nothing. There was literally nothing happening in the women's divisions across all three shows. And if it was happening, it was a very quick loss, or a very quick, something or other happening. I'm going to give our mentions for this award to Io Sky and Stephanie Valquer for their previous one. Blake Monroe, she had a very quick win over Ren Sinclair. Jade Cargill had a very quick win over Chelsea Green. But I am at the end of the day just going to give this award to Roxanne Perez, simply for the fact that Roxanne Perez won 2 matches this week. I think the tag team match for the Judgment Day versus Lyra Valkyria and Bayley on Raw was actually a pretty good match. And of course, Roxanne and Raquel retained there. And on SmackDown, Roxanne picks up a big win over Alexa Bliss heading into their match at SummerSlam. So I think just kind of by default, even though that match wasn't very good and there was a really awkward spot where Alexa went up to the top rope and went for an outside splash, a twisted bliss I think it was, onto Raquel, who was going for a powerbomb on Charlotte, but she couldn't get her feet right, so Raquel was sitting there with Charlotte for the powerbomb for like 15 minutes, just waiting for Alexa to jump. But Roxanne ended up winning, and simply for the fact that she won those 2 matches, I'm going to give her female MVP. But like I said, this week was lacking a lot of female wrestling, especially on NXT, that we're really used to. We also this week had announced a 6-way TLC tag team match. Now we're going to go through the bad, and then we're going to get into the good. Now we're going to start with the bad, and that is Friday Night Smackdown's tag team match that I was very excited for. Dre and Ray, or Andrade and Ray Phoenix, taking on the Wyatt Six for the tag team championships, ends in a DQ. Now, if you've watched any of my other weekly awards, literally just pick a weekly awards, and I'm sure I'm talking about it in whatever you click on. I'm so sick of the Wyatt Six matches ending in DQ, and it's not even really just the Wyatt Six, because even before the Wyatt Six came back to this division, we were having matches constantly end in DQ, and just leave it for a later match where eventually the guys ended up taking the titles, and then they would have a match with somebody and get DQ'd, and then just when the Wyatt Six came back, every single Wyatt Six match except for when they won the titles has ended in DQ. So it's just kind of annoying to see this constantly happening. A great tag division that's putting on great matches, but constantly having wacky finishes with the DQs, I just think is a little bit dampering on how good the division is. But we'll get into the good. So of course that match ended in DQ because of Nikki Cross pulling out the referee. When the referee gets pulled out in any other match, they never call for a DQ, so I don't know why this one was a DQ. Wrestling logic, I guess, but it led to an all-out brawl between 6 of the best, if not the best, tag teams on Friday Night Smackdown. Really the main ones, now that Pretty Deadly, I think Ellen Prince is injured, and Los Garza wasn't there for some reason either, but these 6 of the best tag teams on SmackDown are going to be in a TLC ladders, tables, and chairs match at SummerSlam, and it's the biggest TLC match. That's how they're marketing it. That's how they're going to continue to market it. The biggest TLC match of all time between 12 men, and they're all phenomenal wrestlers in their own right. And for the tag team championships, that match is going to be hard to predict, so check out my SummerSlam prediction if you want to see who I pick in that match, because I don't even know who I'm picking in that match yet. But that match is going to be absolutely insane. I think this match is either going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be incredibly chaotic, hard to follow, but with some cool spots, or it's going to be just an absolute show stealer, just like the TLC match on Friday Night Smackdown right after WrestleMania. So it's going to be one of 2. It's either going to be insanely good, or it's going to be good but chaotic. So I'm hoping it's just insanely good and it's easy to follow, because I know sometimes it's easy to get lost in a match with that many guys, but I'm super excited for this match at SummerSlam. Next award I'm going to give out is Promo of the Week. Now, I know this has kind of been a boring weekly award simply because the women's roster seemed to all just have very quick matches, so that was really hard to give out awards on that side. And then promos, it seems like a lot recently we've been lacking good promos. I'd say honorable mention for Promo of the Week is going to go to Becky Lynch, because she had a great promo on Monday Night Raw, but it's a great promo that we've heard before. I like this character. I think this promo works, so I'm not mad at it. I'm just not going to give it Promo of the Week because I think it won Promo of the Week before already with pretty much the same promo she gave here. And then Ethan Page is going to get an honorable mention because I think Ethan Page had a very, very good chance of winning this award if it wasn't for the network. So I don't know. I had to watch CW, or I had to watch NXT a lot later than everybody else, so maybe mine just was messed up and everyone else got to hear it. But if it was blurring as much as it did on the CW app as it was on the CW network, or I don't know, maybe Netflix didn't bleep it out, maybe I should have gone and found the promo somewhere, but I didn't get to hear his promo. His promo was just kept getting bleeped out because they kept chanting curse words at him, so it kept getting bleeped out. But he was having a very good promo from what I could hear. But I'm going to blame the CW for the app for him not winning this award, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it to CM Punk and Gunther, because I think they had a very on par promo with Ethan Page from what I heard, and I could actually hear all of their promo. So CM Punk, of course, coming out and running down Gunther's list of accomplishments, and then running down Gunther himself, saying why he's the best in the world, all that, the basic stuff. And then Gunther comes out, flips what CM Punk just said on him, saying, yeah, you just listed my accomplishments, well, where's yours? Recently, and CM Punk, the regular back and forth that you'd expect between 2 men of this level of mic work that they have, I think was a very good promo battle. I think they could definitely top this one, because I don't think this one was the best. I think these 2 definitely, with how good CM Punk is on the mic, and Gunther is so good when he has the right dancing partner on the mic to give a great promo. Look at his promos with The Miz. I think that these two could have had a better promo, but this was definitely a very good promo, and it's going to win promo of the week, but maybe I'll have to watch the Ethan Page promo and see if it was better than this one. It is now time for the speed round. If you don't know what the speed round is, then you have not watched any of my weekly awards. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Javon Evans. Apparently is now just backstage giving people advice. He didn't wrestle on NXT. He didn't even come out to the ring. He didn't cut a promo. He was backstage. He gave Yoshiki Inamura advice. He talked to Trick Williams. He talked to The Undertaker at the end. And it was kind of fun to see Javon Evans constantly, after every match being backstage talking to somebody different. But at the same time, it's just kind of weird that he wasn't wrestling. He was backstage giving advice. And, he's 21. He said that in I think he was talking to Yoshiki. He's like, I'm 21 years old. Why are you asking for my advice? And it really made sense. Of all the people in NXT, I feel like he's one of the youngest, if not the youngest, on that roster. So why would they go to him for advice when you think he'd be going to them for advice? But anyways, he also had a very funny moment with Yoshiki when he said, "You feel me?" and Yoshiki reached over, grabbed him, and said, "I feel you," very quietly. That made me chuckle. Hank and Tank got to wrestle in NXT, staying on NXT for a second. They teamed with Soruka and Zarya to take on the Culling, and it was actually a pretty good match. Pretty good back and forth. Some mixed gender tag team wrestling, which we don't get to see a lot on WWE nowadays. My only gripe with these kinds of matches is the same gripe that I've always had, and that is the fact that why can the women openly hit the men? Like Soruka dove out in the ring and took out Shawn Spears, but when Shawn Spears or Nico, one or the other, got up and acted like they were going to hit Soul, the referee told them not to or they'd get disqualified. So why? And the commentators are always, oh, the men fight the men and the women fight the women. Well, why in the world can the woman hit the man but the man not hit the woman? I just don't understand it. It's fake. I mean, if you want to be blunt for a second, it's scripted. You see Black Widow get punched in a movie by Captain America. You're not going to bat an eye just because it's a man and a woman. No, because they're both badass. Everybody in this match was a badass. Let the men hit the women. Come on, do moves to the women. Oh well. But anyways, it was a decent match, pretty fun, and it had a really weird ending where Dark State just flashed on the apron or in the crowd, and the lights turned off. They flashed and it came back up, and Tatum was pinning Soruka, I think, and the Culling just won because of Dark State, but Dark State didn't even get involved. They just kind of stood there, caused a distraction. I don't know why they're helping the Culling. I don't know. I have more questions than answers, but hey, Hank and Tank got to wrestle, so no complaining from me this week about that one. Logan Paul and Jelly Roll. This one's friggin' hilarious. Logan Paul was bumping for Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll wasn't even really doing any moves. So of course we had a promo battle, I guess you could say, between Randy and, well, not really Randy because he just came out and punched Logan in the face, but Logan, Drew, and Jelly before we then had out Randy Orton. And it was as entertaining as it can be. I think Jelly Roll's theme song sucks, first of all, but the thing I really want to talk about is the fact that after it was just Logan and Jelly in the ring, which seems to be the main feud in this whole thing is Logan and Jelly Roll. Logan kept going up to Jelly for a hit. Jelly would just stand there, stick his elbow out, stick his shoulder out or something, and Logan would run into him and bump like he just took a monstrous hit. And this happened 3 or 4 times. Jelly wasn't even trying to hit a move. He just kind of leaned into it. And I hope Jelly Roll has a good performance at SummerSlam. I hope it isn't more of this, so that we can talk highly of Jelly Roll being in the ring. But that was just a little bit weird. The Miz got to wrestle. Of course, if you've watched this channel for however long, you probably know that The Miz is my favorite wrestler of all time, and he got to wrestle against Jacob Fatu in his hometown, and I thought that was very cool. The only main gripe I have about this match is the fact that he won with a Samoan drop, a move that is not his finisher, barely a signature. He won with it instead of going up for the moonsault or the DDT, something that he can or has finished matches off before. He just finished them with the top pop-up Samoan drop, and it was really only here to continue, of course, Solo versus Jacob. And it's just kind of weird at that point that Jacob was 1v5ing Miz and the MFTs. So I love Jacob Fatu, don't get me wrong, and I think that obviously he shouldn't have lost to the Miz. I just wish that he would have beat him with an actual finisher of his. It was Kiana James backstage. Last week I said I think Kiana James talking to Julia. She looks like she's now Julia's mouthpiece, and she's going to be a lawyer. So we have a Luca Crucifino-esque Kiana James on the main roster. And we're going right back to the Zelina Vega feud, of course. What else do we have to do for Julia? Ricky Sainz went through the stage off camera on NXT. He just kind of fell through the stage. And actually, Jasper Troy got a count-out victory against Ricky Saints, which I think was brilliant because it protects Ricky Saints, gives Jasper Troy a victory, and I honestly don't think I've seen a count-out victory in a while. I've seen a lot of DQs, but not a lot of count-outs. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns versus Braun and Braun got announced on NXT, which is pretty funny. Watching NXT, I saw that match get confirmed on there, and I'm like, huh, what a weird place to put that match confirmation. Karrion Kross got busted open. He actually got to wrestle him in at Raw, and he wrestled Sami Zayn, of course. And he got busted open at the nose and started bleeding everywhere. And Scarlett gave him a kiss and started rubbing all over her. And they went and took a photo shoot in Karrion Kross's blood after. So that's pretty interesting. I think that's it's a pretty fun character work, if you ask me. And Jade versus Cargo. Yep. Jade Cargo versus Chelsea Green happened, and luckily they were already in their ring gear. That's one trope I don't really like about impromptu matches, is that they're always in their ring gear. Like, they're not always in their ring gear, but when they're going to an impromptu match, they have their ring gear on, luckily, even though it's an impromptu match. And Jade just threw Chelsea into the ring, but they're both fully in ring gear, not even a jacket on, nothing. So if these two weren't on the card already, why would they be in ring gear? But there's stupider wrestling tropes. That's just another wrestling trope that I hate. That's the end of the speed round, though. It is hot as hell in this room I'm in. Next one I'm going to give out is Team of the Week. Now, not a lot of tag team wrestling on all the shows. We had a 4-on-4 on NXT and SmackDown, of course. We had the main event being a tag team match, but I couldn't really give either of those Team of the Week because that match ended in DQ. I didn't like the ending of the 4-on-4, so I'm not giving either of those teams this award. And I am going to give it to a team that has never won it, and this is probably one of their only opportunities ever to win this award, and that is Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro of the LWO, because they knocked off the New Day and the War Raiders in a 3-on-3. Wait, was it the New Day? No, it was the Creed Brothers. Why did I say the New Day? They knocked off the Creed Brothers and the War Machine. Okay. Knocked off the Creed Brothers and the War Raiders in a very, very good and entertaining triple threat tag team match. We had some interference from Dragon Lee and from El Grande, Talicano, whatever. And then they actually picked up a win. Like, I did not expect them to win, and I think this is a brilliant move for the tag team division on Raw to try to compete with the tag team division on SmackDown, is take these teams that you're not doing much with, like the Creed Brothers, like the LWO, and make them feel important, because now the LWO has a tag team title opportunity against the Judgment Day. I don't think they're going to win that match, but at the end of the day, they're making them feel important by giving them an opportunity to, you know, face the champions and making them look strong by winning this match and making them look good. And before this, the only teams that actually ever looked good on Raw was New Day, War Raiders, and the Judgment Day, of course. So now we're making the LWO look good. If we could just build up the Creed Brothers and maybe another team. I don't really know if there's any other teams on Raw right now, but maybe find another team somewhere, call up a team, something, maybe Hank and Tank after they drop the titles. You know, somebody make like another great 6 teams and just build up those 6 teams, and then we can do what SmackDown did and add a Fraxium or add a Dre and Ray and make the tag division even more stacked. But I think this is the right steps in the right direction to make this tag team division matter, with the LWO picking up a surprise victory in this triple threat tag team match. Next thing I want to talk about is something that was very out of the blue, and that is that A-Town Down Under is no more. And this is crazy to me. We just had Grayson Waller backstage saying Austin Theory got injured. I never liked him anyways. You know, I'm with you guys now, the New Day, and I don't need him. A-Town Down Under is under. And it's such a stupid way to break them up, because these two, Austin Theory was getting chants in the arena when Waller was wrestling Sheamus a while back, and I think that would have been a peak moment to break them up. They were constantly doing stuff to mess each other up. They obviously weren't very friendly with each other anymore. They didn't want to be friends anymore, and there were so many opportunities to break them up, like when Waller let Theory get stomped, or like I just said during the Sheamus match, and they just never capitalized on it. Theory could be a, mid-card babyface right now, or even a main event babyface right now, if they had just broke him up, and maybe that would have propelled Waller into the same stardom. But I feel like now that we're breaking him up like this, it's going to be like a nothing breakup. It's going to be like an Enzo and Cass-esque breakup, where instead of breaking them up when the crowd wants them to break up and then making them important on their own, they're going to have them kind of underneath, instead of feeling really important, they're gonna have him underneath everything else, and it just be an out of nowhere breakup when, you know, because when Theory finally comes back, if he actually is injured, I don't actually know. When he does come back, it's just going to be like a nothing Enzo and Cass-esque breakup between these two, and it's not going to make either man feel important, I don't think. And I think Theory could have been, you know, a next level main event player. Same thing with Waller if they had broke him up at the right time. But instead, I think we're just going to get these two having nothing to do after this feud except for fight each other, which is what we saw with, like I said a couple of times already, Enzo and Cass. Like, they had nothing to do except for fight each other and then eventually getting released. So hopefully it doesn't happen with these two, because these two are both so talented. I just think that there was so much potential in the breakup of A-Town Down Under that they just kind of flushed down the drain with this Grayson Waller little promo backstage. Last award I'm going to give out is Male MVP. Now, Male MVP, kind of hard to give out, just like all the other awards this week. It's, like I said, a very lackluster week of TV. I'm going to give honorable mention to Karrion Kross. We talked about him a little bit, knocking off Sami Zayn, and they're going to go into next week at SummerSlam for their third match. So we got their first match, Sami Zayn won, their second match, Karrion Kross won, and now we're going to go into their third match at SummerSlam. But I'm going to give Karrion Kross honorable mention for this award for picking up that victory over Sami. And I'm going to give Male MVP to another NXT guy, which I think NXT has now won this award 2 weeks in a row, and Obafemi. Now, I want to talk about this triple threat while I'm at it, because Obafemi is, of course, winning this award for defending his championship in a triple threat. And I'm pretty sure they said it on commentary that Obafemi is undefeated in triple threats. Obafemi is undefeated in triple threat matches, of course, facing people like A-Town Down Under. You see the little connection there. But this match against Yoshiki and Josh Briggs went exactly like I said it was going to. We're going to have these two have some friendly fire early, constantly running into each other's ways and everything. And then we're going to have the big breakup, which we got. But I think we got it a little bit too late. We'll get to that in a second. So these two were trying to cost each other the match without costing each other the match. And one of my main gripes, every week we have something stupid like this happen. And this week it was a triple threat, no disqualification match. And when Yoshiki was going for the pin on Oba, Josh Briggs grabbed Obafemi's hand and put it on the ropes. And the ref called a rope break in a triple threat match. Like, oh my god, why? I feel like I do this every week. I feel like every week I'm complaining about a rope break, and it's always a rope break. Like, there's a lot of rules that they break and they bend that kind of you don't think about. But when it's a no DQ match, there's no rope break automatically. There's no rope break, there's no countouts, there's no DQs in these kinds of matches. So why are we just throwing random rules into random matches just to make it fit? There's no rope break in a no disqualification match. So why did this break up the pin? Like, I don't think Obafemi should have got pinned or would have got pinned off of that anyways. But it shouldn't have been a rope break. Just have Josh Briggs break up the pin. But anyways, we saw Josh Briggs hit a great moonsault after the Yoshiki splash onto Femi. And of course, that's kind of where we got into their breakdown, which this match went on for most of it without these two breaking down, you know, each other. And then when they finally did, we saw some very good back and forth between these two, and that's when the match ended up ending, is when Obafemi came up during that exchange, the initial exchange, after they finally were like, screw you, we're just going to go at it. Pause. Obafemi came in and won the match. So it felt like Obafemi was the third wheel of this match, but at the end of the day, he won the match, so he's going to get the award. But then we also, after the match, had Josh Briggs just taking down Yoshiki into the stairs. So we definitely have something there, like I said we were going to. Briggs and Yoshiki is officially done. Briggs is going to continue being a heel now, go back to his heelish ways, which we already saw a little bit of it inking in, but now we're going to see a full heel Briggs against a babyface Yoshiki, and I'm actually very excited for that feud. This match wasn't amazing. I think it was pretty decent, but I think that we would have had a better match if these two had just said screw it earlier in the match instead of at the very end, and we could have seen a full-fledged, full-fire triple threat between these three instead of the constant, oh, I didn't mean to mess you up, oh, I'm sorry, until the end. So Obafemi's winning the award, though, at the end of the day for winning that match. Final thing I want to talk about is the legends were out and about on NXT. Now, we started with, of course, the commentator of NXT, Booker T, having a big old intro, starting backstage, making his way out, just talking about what we're going to see. And this NXT was actually pretty stacked. From a card perspective, it looked like it was going to be a great NXT. Wasn't as good as I was hoping, but it was definitely a pretty decent NXT. We had all the LFG people coming out, the coaches. Of course, I said Booker T. We saw him. Michelle McCool was there, talking to Fatal Influence about who should do what. That one was a little bit weird of a cameo for the sake of being a cameo, and I think Bubba's was kind of the same because he came out for the NQCC and said, why don't we just do the same match we did 2 weeks ago, but do it again, but here's the stakes. and then he like went through and explained all the stakes, but they were the same exact stakes that were the last match. So why would Charlie even accept? Charlie already won the match. Charlie is already the reason, you know, that Tavion Heights is still in the NQCC. So why at the end of the day would Charlie even agree to this? But Bubba came out, made a big deal about something that we've already seen, so that was a little bit weird too. But the two big legends that we saw come back for big moments is Santino Marella coming out to interrupt Ethan Page's promo that we talked about earlier, and just running down Ethan Page to the point where I'm just waiting for like him to say, oh, a TNA guy, you know, like let's get this TNA guy over here to fight you, because he's of course the TNA director of operations or whatever. But no, he goes, I'm gonna fight you, and that's absolutely insane. That in 2025 we're gonna see Ethan Page versus Santino Marella on NXT for the North American Championship, and I think that's absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Santino did come out and say, hey, I'm not, like, I wasn't born in Italy, but I'm pretty sure, didn't they used to say he was born in Italy? Maybe I'm tripping, but he did come out and say that. But Santino versus Ethan Page, Santino's getting to wrestle, and I hope this match is as good as I want it to be, because Ethan Page is so good in the ring, and Santino is so good in the ring and also at comedic timing. So I hope this match is funny while also being a barn burner. I think I might be putting too much into this match, but I hope this match is fun. I don't see Santino winning, but it'd be pretty funny if the TNA Director of Operations won the NXT Championship, NXT Midcard Championship, while NXT is taking the women's and men's main titles from TNA. But the other big legend, of course, we had the Undertaker confronting Trick Williams, because last week Trick Williams said some funny said some funny stuff to the LFG guys, and Undertaker came out, and this is another thing, just like I said about Santino and Ethan Page. I thought Santino was going to call out a TNA guy to be like, come take down Ethan Page. I thought Undertaker was going to call out his LFG guys and be like, come take down Trick Williams. But instead, he just did it himself. And he said, you better watch how you're talking to me, because, you know, like, I can't even remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, me and you, like they're gonna have a match. And then he chokeslammed Trick, and if this sets up the Undertaker versus Trick Williams, that's gonna be absolutely insane, especially if this is on NXT TV or even an NXT pay-per-view. That'd be absolutely insane. So if we see Trick Williams versus Undertaker in 2025, I might just lose my mind. That is all I have for you guys on this weekly awards. Like I said, I'm sorry it was a very boring week of wrestling for the most part. NXT definitely the highlight of the week for me overall. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment. If I gave any awards to the wrong people, let me know. Subscribe for me, ring the bell while you're down there if you want to be notified whenever I drop a video like this one. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
This happened if I had real tough love, I'm bad at this, and I'm bad for this.
Narcissistic tendencies, I don't care about no one else. Narcissistic tendencies, I'm low, so set me on the shelf. Few people ever have my back, yeah, there ain't no doubt about that.
How does he do it?
Gobla!